50s comedy club. It's a brick wall.
All right. Come on. Come on, let's just go around. Go around and then we'll go from there. Hey, for the people that might get a little challenged,
Huh?
all I have to do is adjust it.
Oh, okay.
See, that's all the reason.
You know, supposed to be getting here like each other. We're all the right height, whatever height.
Y'all let me know when y'all ready. No problem.
Are they getting our feet?
They already. It's like the camera live.
Oh,
It's live.
okay.
It's looking dead at you.
Alright.
It's live. Hey, looking at your feet, girl.
You got a hot mic. So you don't want to say the mayor's a total demagogue.
We can say that. We can say that. Hello, y'all. I'm Minister Dominic Alexander, president and founder of the Next Generation Action Network. We are here today as a coalition of many organizations, many leaders, people who have been fighting the fight of police brutality for more than a couple of decades. And I'm so excited to have a rainbow coalition of justice to stand together united today. Many of the individuals that will speak today have been on the forefront of this issue in regards to Proposition F. Currently, right now in the city of Dallas has proposed a $1.2 billion bond package that the Next Generation Action Network feels that it disproportionately, unequitably puts our communities and the most vulnerable communities at a disadvantage. We want to particularly focus on Proposition F today as we talk about the lack of transparency in regards to the proposed project of UNT Dallas occupying the police academy. We know that at the beginning of the year, UNT Dallas asked the state legislature for $60 million in regards to this proposal in a $140 million. The legislature only gave them $20 million. We know that the Communities Foundation of Texas gave the police academy $10 million. And now the city of Dallas is asking the voters to give an authorization of $50 million. That will put their total of about $80 million that they have been able to collect. But during this process, I know particularly I have, and many individuals have demanded transparency in regards to the Caruth Institute. We know transparency in regards to students that are currently at this campus that didn't even know that the police academy was currently connected to the police academy, to UNT Dallas. That lack of transparency and us being able, and many of our coalition partners and people who will speak about their door knocking campaign, realizing that a lot of the people who are impacted the most that live in that particular neighborhood did not even know that the police academy was proposed at this particular property. And what we do today is stand in solidarity with those individuals that have had this, that being situation that the local elected official has not been transparent in with that community in regards. There are several different items. There is streets, transportation, but one of the things that stand out for me most is the fact that a actual city will propose a bond that would give over $345 million to Parks and Recs and only $26 million to affordable housing. That is something that tells me as an organization, and this is a position that the Next Generation Action Network has went, is to ask that the voters reject the entirety of this bond. This bond is inequitable. We feel that the city council can go back in the drawing board in the mayoral election that comes in 2025. Right now, we cannot support a plan that only gives $19 million to homelessness, $26 million to housing. And what I want to be able to get people to understand, because a lot of times when we're in these community meetings, a lot of people get the misconception of affordable housing as Section 8 and low-income housing. Those are two different categories. What we are talking about when affordable housing is your school teacher that's getting $75,000 a year that cannot afford rent, because rent right now for an apartment complex average about $2,500 in the city of Dallas. So right now, the Next Generation Action Network's position is that we urge the voters to reject the city of Dallas proposed bond of $1.2 million all down the ballot. What I'll do is pass over to a speaker, Tamara Neal, who has been on the forefront of this fight.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Thank you, Dominique Alexander, for doing the amazing work on the ground and all of these amazing organizations and those who activate our people locally. I think it was very needed for Dominique to let you know the breakdown of this bond. Just so you know, I have been activating a group of individuals out in the community for weeks now around Vol F and Stop Cop City Dallas. I am Tamara Neal, one of the organization leaders with Community Movement Builders of Dallas. And I want to first and foremost, I want to thank the voters. I don't think the voters get enough flowers who have voted against Prop F already, right? I want to thank the voters who have voted against over-policing our cities. I want to thank the voters who have voted against Prop F in saying there's other ways we can embody public safety in these communities that have generational trauma being over-policed. And I want to urge every voter in the city of Dallas, when you go to the polls, no matter where your polling place is, everybody in 7241, 752, 752, and around to any of the 65 to 68 polling locations, please make sure that you vote no and vote against Proposition F. I also want to really call some attention to what's happening here. What we see is local organizing infrastructure for authoritarian government. That's right. Right? We're seeing it at UT, where they probably on a cop city. We're seeing it at the border, where they're violating our brown brothers, sisters' rights so much. And Community Movement Builders of Dallas is saying, DPD, we will not allow you to fuel the criminalization of marginalized people and further expand the carceral system. Okay? I want you to understand something. There's been many articles put out by whether it's District 8, where the cop training facility wants to be placed at UNT Dallas campus. District 8 City Council member has said that he's done over 40 outreach events. But when we're going into precinct 8068, or when we're going into precinct 3068 and 3080, when we're going into these precincts in these areas, the voters don't know that. That's right. The voters are saying, ma'am, I haven't heard anything about a police training facility coming into my backyard. And I've said this to City Council on April the 9th, and I'll say it again. You do not get to tell taxpayers that we have to pay to up the police presence in our communities. I have told them in the past, as a taxpayer, I'm not paying $50, $90, $140 million so DPD can have a new training facility. I saw saw Eddie Garcia say in February 2024 in a CNBC article, this is the reason why we need a new cop training facility is because his cadets don't have enough bathrooms. It's because his cadets don't have enough showers. See, my only problem with that is that the community doesn't have enough bodies for you to keep taking our people out for over-policing tactics, for you to keep causing trauma and harm. The community doesn't have enough funds. As you heard Minister Dominique Alexander say, the community doesn't have enough revitalization. So we are not at the beckoning call of your shower count. We can't worry about how many bathrooms your cadets need, because the community has a long, drawn-out list of needs and unmet needs. And this is why we urge all voters to vote for real public safety. There are so many things that could be done with that $140 million outside of building facilities with new showers and bathrooms and moldings. We need quality public education. Our babies need after-school care programs. We need streets revitalization. We need walkable areas. We need fresh food markets. That's what we need. So until you are ready to meet the unmet needs of the community, the taxpayers say no. The taxpayers say we don't have the time. And we damn sure ain't got the money. So I want you to understand that the scripture says, Isaiah 54:17, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. I need you to understand that no weapon formed against us shall prosper. And when community stands up, and when we push as a whole and say that we absolutely reject an increase in our carceral footprint. When 241 pushes more prison inmates to TDCJ numbers than any leading community, we have enough issues to deal with. So when you're trying to bring weapons into our community and bring all of these military weapons in our community and arm your police academy and arm your police training facility, I am telling the voters, make sure you remember Isaiah 19. It is not that no weapons formed against us shall prosper. We want you to know that no propositions formed against us shall prosper. And I want you to vote no and against this proposition when you go to the polls. And on election day, we will be out at the polls. And I hope to see you there. I thank you, I honor you, and I thank everybody for being here. I'm going to pass it on to John Fullenwider.
Thank you, Tamara. I'm John Fullenwider, co-founder of Mothers Against Police Brutality, a national organization based here in Dallas. I want to speak to Proposition F. Our opposition to Proposition F has two bases, really. The first is it's coming in a context of dozens of forming training centers. And the impetus for this was the civil unrest after the murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis in 2020. We question the training that'll be provided in this facility. We think it's going to lean much more towards population control and much less towards community safety. Community safety can't ever be built on over-policing, racial profiling, and brutality, or on violating the rights of peaceful protesters that happened so much in 2020. This is the wrong, a bond election or a city budget is a statement of values, what you invest in and what you don't invest in. We already have a situation where the police budget at $660-something million a year, a third of the whole operating budget of the city. No other item even comes close. In the bond election, they're talking about 50 million for this. I say we question the training that'll happen there. You know, their famous shoot, don't shoot training. It ought to be called shout and shoot training. Because for 50 years longer, we've had a culture and a history of impunity when it comes to the use of deadly force. And we've had an IAD that excuses lethal brutality time after time. And there's many examples of this, like Officer Clark Stoller, like Officer Roger Rudloff, and many others, Officer Christopher Hess, many violations, many complaints, always a tiny slap on the wrist or nothing, and then they graduate to killing someone, as Clark Stoller did in 2013, and others. Here's a historical point on the Dallas Police Department. Bessie Rodriguez, the mother of Santos Rodriguez, who was killed here in 1973, died last year without receiving a nickel from the city of Dallas for any of the wrongdoing done to her family and her son. The killing of Botham Jean in 2018. Are we going to wait for his mother, Allison, to die before we pretend we care about this case? They have a wrongful death suit that's been pending for 5 years now. And there's no settlement, and there's no mention of a settlement. And you can ask any city council member about it, and they'll just say, well, it's pending litigation. So we have an unaccountable and in ways cruel police department. So that's the investment we make. But what about the investments we don't make? You know, as of today, 1 out of 4 kids in this city is growing up in poverty. Let's invest in them instead of more policing. This is the wrong investment for the wrong purpose at the wrong time. Thanks.
We're going to have Tamara with the Dallas Cop City.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tamara Hutcherson with Stop Cop City Dallas. Currently, 68 cop cities are being planned, constructed, or have been completed. UNT Dallas President Bob Mong calls the usage of Cop City a buzzword. That is a disrespect to Atlanta organizers who coined this term to fight against the construction of a tactical training for the Atlanta Police Department and continue to face political repression and at the hands of police state violence. City officials state this new police training ground is supposed to be a regional facility, but have yet disclosed which law enforcement entities nationally and internationally cross-trained there. They have also failed to disclose what training will be taught at this facility. How can voters make an informed decision about Proposition F when there is critical information being withheld from the public? In the 1960s, military bases had constructed mock-trained U.S. police forces and military in urban warfare to repress protests and movements. All these mock cities, Roseville, in which military personnel and police officers role-played as protesters, including designating black men as key indicators for their scenarios utilizing tear gas and other tactics of militarization. Mayor Pro Tem Tanel Atkins apparently feels blindsided by the opposition of this facility, with concerns by community members, organizations, and organizers that it will increase over-policing and repression of our black and brown communities. It has been argued by city officials the current police training facility is already in southern Dallas, simply implying there should be no issue. The issue is placing a police training facility in a predominantly black and brown first place that lacks infrastructure instead of placing it in North Dallas? The Dallas Police Department released a propaganda video about the need for a new facility in which they stated their current facility is outdated and lacks space to improve retention and their police shortage. What about our outdated public schools and other community services? What about the teacher shortage? What about the shortage of mental health professionals when Dallas County Jail is the #1 confiner of individuals with mental health diagnoses? What about the conservation of our green spaces when Dallas has heat islands? In 2020, during the uprisings after the murder of George Floyd, we saw how police forces across the nation prioritize protecting capital and property over people. We see this today as we bear witness to students across the nation being brutalized, arrested, and free speech by militarized police. I urge about no opposition elected officials to invest in community services to improve public safety. People resort to crime because of social inequities that persist in our city, and that cannot be resolved with police.
That's right.
Romero with Somos Tejas.
Hi, good afternoon, members of the press and my fellow colleagues. My name is Ramiro Luna. I am the co-founder and executive director of Somos Tejas. Our organization believes in civic and political participation, and this is one of the elements that one of the strongest that we have. Whenever we see our schools underfunded, whenever we see our neighborhoods underserved, and yet we see police being overfunded, continues to breed narrative of education, not only in our city, but across, something that we have been victims of, and as I speak before you in the heels of SB4, this speaks to our immigrant community at a heightened attention of threat. During this space where we're at the mercy of SB4 due to the courts, any police officer is not going to be seen as a friend, but more as somebody who can threaten our stay here in this country. So before we start investing in more police officers, before we start investing in facilities, let's go into a system of community first, that we invest in our streets, let's make sure we invest in affordable housing, and let's make sure that we invest in our schools. Lo voy a decir en el día de hoy en español para hablar en tono de nuestro grupo, se llama Somos Texas. Es un grupo sin fin de lucro que se enfoca en la acción cívica y la participación política. Este es un tema que nos toca muy personalmente, porque lo que miramos tras día es enfoque en poner más y más dinero en las manos de las policías y de los departamentos de que ellos cubren, mientras las calles, nuestros vecindarios, nuestras escuelas y la comunidad donde nosotros vivimos no está recibiendo la inversión que merece. Así es que el día de hoy le estamos pidiendo a nuestra comunidad que vote en contra de la proposición F, porque necesitamos que dar esa inversión a nuestra comunidad. Esto es parte de la narrativa que estamos viendo, que está pasando de militarizar no solamente en un nivel estatal, pero también internacional y en nuestra ciudad. Eso es algo que tenemos que parar para nuestra justicia, para nuestra seguridad. Ahorita que estamos hablando, cuando estamos en peligro de la SB4, que va a ver que nuestra comunidad no va a ser ayudada por la policía, sino va a ser perjudicada, que una policía que va a poder actuar como la polimigra. Así es que estamos en contra de esta propuesta y pedimos a nuestra comunidad que vote no. Gracias.
Good afternoon. My name is Tiara Cooper. I am the Managing Director of In Defense of Black Lives, and we deeply oppose Proposition F. We oppose the continued militarization and expansion of policing strategies that further harm our communities. I stand here as a Black mother of 2 daughters, a constituent of Dallas County, a formerly incarcerated individual who knows that Proposition F is not a proposition for public safety.
That's right.
This proposition in its entirety is anti-public safety. This proposition promotes and invites more police into already vulnerable communities, communities of color, and communities that are already lacking in many of the things that were already named today. Dallas County is currently manipulating voters by lack of transparency and lack of inclusion. They have waited to the very last minute to include community and have conversations around what this proposition actually means. So it is our job to educate the voter base. We also know that public safety does not mean more police.
That's right.
We know that reforms have continually been invested in. We, some of us in this room, believed at one point that more police meant more safety. Some of us believed that cameras and different investments would mean more safely, but that we would be more safe. We have tried each and every reform under the sun, and we have come to know that none of these things keep us safe, that we must address the root causes of harm and of violence in our communities. And no one knows better how to address those harms than us in this room and the folks of the community. We need alternatives. We need strong alternatives to policing in order to protect our people and to keep them safe. We need investments such as more grocery stores. We need better health care. We need mental health support. We need more resources around those things. However, what we are seeing in Dallas County is what we're seeing across the country, an investment in militarization of Black, brown, and poor communities. We strongly resist what is happening across America. Cop cities popping up everywhere are a slap in the face to us who resisted strongly in the 2020 uprisings. We said no, we didn't want any more police. We stated that they did not keep us safe. We told them to invest in our solutions, and this is what they came up with. The ramifications of such a proposition are dire to our community. So I'm here to alarm and alert our community that voting yes on Prop F would be you having a hand in your own oppression. And it is upon us to liberate our people from systemic oppression. And if you care about the southern sector, if you care about Oak Cliff, if you care about South Dallas, if you care about Dallas County, you will vote no on Proposition F. The states all are already leading in mass incarceration. Texas being the prison capital of mass incarceration. That will only further increase if we allow cities to build and live. I strongly urge you to vote no on Proposition F and to know that Cop City is a threat to Black, poor, and brown people everywhere. Vote no on Proposition F.
Before I pass it on, one of the things I want to be able to say is, because I continue to hear this response whenever someone says anything regarding policing, well, we have our community and things are going on right now. As long as America and our local community and people of color and so many people think that that is going to be the solution towards us, we are failing ourselves. When we have local city councils stripping every day the social economic element out of our community with harsh predatory zoning that dates back almost a couple of decades in places like South Dallas and places like Oak Cliff and West Dallas, you have major gentrification and displacement. And right now, while the city of Dallas have a $5 billion convention center project, we must do everything that we can to protect the communities that are there right now, not the communities that will be in the future. But at the end of the day, like we said, giving 50 million, giving 50 million, the fact that the City of Dallas Police Department receives more than 70% of the City of Dallas yearly budget. And yet at the end of the day, we are looking at $26 million only being allotted towards affordable housing. When we had a rainbow coalition of a coalition that was demanding over $200 million in this city for affordable housing. At the end of the day, how do that keep us safe? How do giving a $50 million to a police academy with more than $600 million already being allotted to them, how do that keep us safe? How do that address our children yet picking up guns in our communities? How does that keep us safe? With lack of jobs, with lack of infrastructure in regards to technology. But we have so many people saying, man, we just need to support the police academy. We must do whatever we can to support, to keep our community safe. But since this 1993 crime bill in America, the only thing that we have seen in the black community is a return every decade of our black and brown sisters being robbed from us, placed in incarceration, and then placed back into society worse than when they left. And yet to top that, not even educated after all of the 10 to 20 years that they have given to the state of. So at the end of the day, we come here today as a Rainbow Coalition of Justice to say enough is enough, y'all. And I say to so many people that's watching, don't wait until it's your baby. Don't wait until it's your nephew, your auntie, to want to listen to us. Because we have had many cases where the people have said we are wasting our time. And then the next day when it becomes your baby on the other end of one of those police revolvers, then you want all of us to mobilize a baby. And that's the reason why activists have to be at the forefront for preventative measures to make sure that we educate when it's wrong. This type of level of investment will only disproportionately take advantage of our community and continue to fail. Come on, Danita Jones.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Danita Jones, and I wear many hats. But today I'm coming to you as a resident, a constituent voter, and a mother. We've all heard from my esteemed colleagues the rationale for not having Cop City. But I want to point out the obvious. What did your elected officials say to you about Cop City? What information was placed in your box about the meetings they said they had? What information did your elected officials put in your box about the new grocery stores coming to the food deserts? Well, we're spending $660 million on a police force and an additional million the millions that's gonna come from this proposition. How many buses take you to get to the grocery store? I'm a mother before I'm anything. And the one phone call I dread is the phone call from my son or my daughter's calling me to say, Mom, I've been pulled over. I got that phone call. I got that phone call. And to hear my son's panic-stricken voice say, Mom, I didn't do anything. I'm going the speed limit. I don't know. I'm listening to my son answer everything respectfully, but yet hear the officer give him pushback after pushback after pushback. Well, this car is not in your name. No, it's in my mom's name. Your mom's not here. When did that need to be an issue? The owner of the car has to be present in the car when it's pulled over now? Is that the training that's going to happen at this facility? Is that the training that's going to happen at this facility? My son was arrested because the police officer wouldn't take his insurance because it wasn't in his name, but he was listed as a driver. We spent money we didn't have to get him out of jail. This is the training that's coming to our city. No reform is going to change the attitudes of the police department. The blatant disregards from our elected officials that's saying, I don't have a statement to make. Bull crap. Please remember that your vote has power. Please remember that you elected them and you can also unelect them. Use Proposition F as your reasoning and rationale to start questioning your elected officials if you have not done so in the past. Because I promise you, that phone call is going to come to you. And when it does come to you, it may not be as simple as mine. Be mindful of what they put in front of us. Because we will perish from the lack of knowledge. And we're trying to give you that knowledge now. Go to your official. Tell them, describe Proposition F. What's not in here, what I see? And then make an informed decision, because when they hide it, it's not good for the people. Thank you.
So we'll wrap it up now. I want us to continue to follow the organizations that are represented here. Somos Teos, of course, I know they are on all social media platforms, as well as the coalition Stop Cop City DTX on Instagram, as well as Dallas for Change. Community Movement Builders, and as well as the Next Generation Action Network in defense of Black lives and mothers against police brutality. Of course, these organizations will be able to make sure that communities are educated in ways that you can be able to help knock doors, be able to get the word out, and be able to be educated. As the next coming days and weeks going by, our organizations will do everything we can to make sure that people who have questions, that you get the answers, that we educate our community. We're not just talking to you, we want to talk with you. All right? Thank you so much. Yeah, and so you can go out and door knock. I ask that you go and follow all of the social media accounts of the organizations and coalitions that are here, so that you can be able to participate in the actual democracy that is going on. So I know many organizations that are doing stuff, and I want to hold this thing up real quick. Vote no to Prop F. You can go to stopcopcitydallas.com and get all of your information on there. I ask that you continue to vote no on Proposition F. Thank you so much.